Hi, this is Layla Shaver, founder of My RA Lawyer, and I'm here today with another episode of the 10 stupid things your CCO is doing. So today we're going to talk about disclosing performance results on model portfolios. Really important because I get asked about it a lot, and I know a lot of you want to be able to take your model portfolio and show the performance results to potential clients so they know what kind of returns they're expecting. Today I'm going to be discussing the matter of Arlington Capital Management, Inc. and Joseph F. Lopresti, Administrative Proceeding number 3-18437. So Arlington used computer programs to develop model portfolios, and these model portfolios had proprietary indicators that would tell Arlington and their investment advisors when to buy or sell certain securities. And they would take the performance results from the model portfolios and they disclose that to clients, prospective clients. They would do it in seminars, on their website, even on their weekly radio show. They would disclose their performance results. Now, like any other model portfolio, you're going to tweak it, you're going to modify it, you're going to make changes to it. And that's exactly what Arlington did. They made changes every so often to their model portfolios. Now, here is the problem. They would make these changes, produce a performance report on the new tweaked model portfolio, and then go and change all of the previous performance results for that model portfolio to the now reformed changed model portfolio. So it wasn't a matter of you could look back 6 months ago and look at a prior version of the model portfolio and see what the performance results were for that at that time. They went ahead and they changed all the previous reports. So here's the issue. If I am coming as a prospective client and you show me the results of your model portfolio going back 5 years, well, the model portfolio you have today is different from what your model portfolio was 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 5 years ago. So what you are then telling me is that the results, the improved results, have been that way for the last 5 years, when perhaps the new improved results have only been the case for the last 3 months since you made those modifications to your model portfolio. So what does the SEC say? They say this is very misleading to the potential client because they didn't provide the disclosures to inform the potential client and current clients what that information meant and how to view it going back. And they also didn't give disclosures about this is, hypothetical. This is, looking back with this with 2020 hindsight. These are model portfolios that the performance in actual portfolios maybe didn't exactly turn out that way. A lot of other disclosures that they just didn't have available. The other component also was that the disclosures they did have were teeny tiny at the bottom of the page, like in 6-point font. And disclosures have to be prominent and easy to view and understand. So that was the other component of them not having the proper disclosures. They didn't have the proper ones, and the ones they had, you could barely read. So these were the two big issues. And we see that a lot with advisors who want to disclose their performance results. So what happened? So they being Arlington and Mr. Lopresti, tried to make sure they did some remediation in hopes that the SEC would deal a softer blow, let's say. So what they did is they went and hired a CCO, an actual CCO, because in this case, the owner, Mr. Lopresti, also wore the CCO hat. Don't do it. So he went out and got an actual trained person who knew compliance inside and out as the CCO. They also went and hired a compliance consultant. The compliance consultant conducted a site visit, did an examination review of their files, provided a report with an analysis of what they looked at, and recommendations for changes they needed to make. The SEC then said, okay, Arlington, you are now required to take your compliance consultant's report and make all the recommended changes. And then you have to certify that those changes were made. In addition, Arlington also used compliance software to show the SEC that it was going to stay on top of their compliance responsibilities. Not only that, but then their compliance consultant also worked with their CCO to modify the existing policies and procedures because their policies and procedures were not adequate in providing a procedure for the CCO in reviewing performance results, in reviewing advertisements, and addressing the issues that came up. So the consultant and the new CCO had modified those procedures and policies together. And then the compliance consultant performed their annual compliance review. And all of the documentation for all this had to be provided to the SEC. After considering all of this remediation work that Arlington did, the SEC still handed down a fine. For the firm, $125,000. For Mr. Lopresto himself, $75,000. So these are significant fines, and they'd have to go onto your Form ADV as well. So then you are disclosing this material event on your Form ADV, your brochure, your disclosure brochure, and that's what you're giving potential clients. So then potential clients are now seeing that you, the firm, and you, Mr. Lopresto, the CEO, have been subject to these hefty fines of the SEC. The Form ADV also has to be modified to explain these performance results in greater detail, and all the performance results have to have the appropriate disclosures. Not only that, but the SEC required that a copy of their order be made available publicly on the advisor's website. Yeah, look at all the things you'd have to go through just because you didn't hire an attorney to write you the appropriate disclosures for your performance results. And this is a case that came down just this past month that became available for us to review. So this is the current trend with the SEC. They're requiring remediation. They want to see you bring in consultants and attorneys to really look at what's going on in your compliance systems and address the issues they find. And even then, they're still handing down $200,000 in fines. So imagine the extra cost of getting the compliance consultant, hiring a new CCO, paying the fines to the SEC. All of that can be, to a certain degree, avoided. Depending on your size, you do want a person who knows compliance, and that you may want that person to be in-house. Or maybe you're not big enough necessarily to have an in-house compliance person. Well, go get yourself an attorney, compliance consultant, who can help you look at what you have in place, find out what the problem is, and then be able to tell you what those changes are. My RIA lawyer conducts routine SEC mock exams. We do it so we can come in and, much like the compliance consultant in this case, come in, conduct a site visit, review your policies, procedures, your files, do interviews with your staff, do an analysis, provide your report of what we have viewed and seen, and then what our recommendations are for changes. And then don't just let that report sit there. Actually go and make those changes. If you haven't done an annual compliance review in the last 2 or 3 years, we will come in and we will do your annual compliance review going back to those 2 or 3 years that you didn't conduct them. And we will help you remediate and get everything in a good place, because the SEC will be coming and knocking on your door and doing a routine examination. And if we find it and you don't change it, they're going to find it. I promise you that. So if this case has made you concerned and you want to talk to someone today about things that you need to do to change your policies, procedures, address the advertisements you've been doing, then give us a call today, 770-462-2118, or you can email me directly, Layla Leila at myrialawyer.com. Stay tuned for another episode of the 10 stupid things your CCO is doing.